She was standing in my hallway at 6 in the morning, clipboard in one hand, the other resting casually on my bedroom door frame, smiling like she owned the place. And her phone, her damn phone, was aimed straight past me toward the shower where my wife should have felt safest. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just HOA nonsense anymore. This was trespass. This was predatory, and I wasn't going to let it slide. My name is Aaron Lockwood. I'm the chief of police in Langston County, and for years I've run surveillance operations across 3 states. I've taught federal courses on privacy law. I've kicked down doors for less than what this woman just did. But that morning, I didn't draw my badge, didn't raise my voice. I just stood in the doorway and said, "You need to leave Morin." She tilted her head, pretending this was all routine, muttering something about Section 944 exterior aesthetics. But I wasn't hearing HOA codes anymore. I was hearing my wife's whisper the night before someone's watching me. The glass she was inspecting, calling it gaudy and non-compliant, wasn't just decoration. It was Lena's mother's stained glass sapphire and violet mosaics pressed into lead, the last thing her mom made before the cancer took her. That window turned our bathroom into a cathedral of light every morning, and this smug vice president of the HOA wanted it ripped out for uniformity. She didn't care about uniformity, she cared about control. And as she stood there with her camera angled toward our shower, I knew she'd already crossed a line she couldn't uncross. I should have thrown her out on the spot, but instead I hit record on my phone, let her hang herself with her own arrogance, and when she finally left, I turned to Lena still in her robe, arms crossed tight, purple light washing across her shoulders, and she whispered, "She was in the house, wasn't she?" I didn't lie this time. I nodded. The next days proved me right. A violation notice taped to the door in bold red second warning. We'd never even had a first. Other families on our street, people who never caused trouble, suddenly got hit too. Planter boxes, porch chairs, even a stroller left on the sidewalk. Fines stacked up like weapons. And everywhere I went, I saw it in my neighbors' faces, fear. Not just of Morin, but of each other, because fear spreads quiet. Lena stopped using the bathroom when I wasn't home. She'd lock the door, run the fan to drown out her own breathing. That stained glass, once her comfort, became a reminder of violation. I tried to be rational. I pulled HOA records, traced signatures, compared enforcement actions. What I found chilled me. Morin had seized power while the real president moved out of state. No elections, no notices. Just a power vacuum she filled with her smile and clipboard. 94% of all citations in 6 months. Her name. Enforcement lead, self-appointed. She wasn't following rules, she was rewriting them. And I'll be honest, I broke. One night, violation letters spread across the kitchen table. My wife trembling in the next room, I thought maybe I was the fool. Maybe I'd chosen wrong bringing Lena here. Maybe she deserved a man who could keep a promise instead of watching it get torn up by a suburban tyrant with a fake bylaw. I almost decided to sell the house, pack up, disappear. For a moment I believed I'd lost before the real fight even started. Then Thomas the treasurer looked me in the eye across a boardroom table and whispered, "She's got recordings. She's holding us all hostage." That cracked the silence. Later a neighbor, Cheryl, held up a violation letter for a red geranium and said, "She made me feel ashamed of my own porch." That was it. I knew I wasn't crazy. None of us were. We'd just been trained to stay quiet, and silence was the one thing I couldn't stomach anymore. I set a trap. With Officer Del Rey's help, I ringed the property with sensors, thermal imaging, perimeter logs. I didn't have to wait long. 2 a.m. heat signature at the fence, motion toward the bathroom window. She thought Lena was inside, nightlight, glowing curtains drawn, but Lena was at her sister's. It was bait. On the feed, we watched Morin lift her phone, stare through the glass, linger, like she'd done it 100 times. This time, every second was recorded. Timestamps. Thermal overlays. Undeniable. I didn't waste a breath. I compiled the package, cross-referenced city code, proved the clause she quoted. Emergency access authority was fabricated, never voted, never legal. I walked evidence into the city attorney's office myself. Karen Lee didn't blink as she flipped through photo after photo, violation after violation. "She's impersonating an officer of a corporate body," Karen said flatly, "and running a surveillance scheme under HOA cover." That was the first time I felt the pressure in my chest loosen. But the climax came not in a courtroom, not behind my badge, but in the HOA clubhouse, packed wall to wall with residents' board members squirming at the front, and Moran 10 minutes late, blazer stiff, still clutching that cursed clipboard. She didn't sit. She stood off to the side, jaw tight, eyes scanning like she still owned us. I laid it all out. 60 violations, 43 signed by her hand, 17 involving trespass, 9 backed by a fake clause. I held up a folder thick with logs, photos, and witness statements. "This isn't enforcement," I said. "This is surveillance. It's intimidation. And it's over." For a moment, the room held its breath. Then Cheryl raised a trembling hand holding a picture of her porch flowers. She told me red was disruptive. Another voice cut in. She walked into my yard and pointed her phone through my kitchen window. A man stood, voice breaking. "She fined us for the wheelchair ramp my wife needs, said it wasn't approved." One by one the voices rose, not yelling, just truth, simple, ordinary truth that finally cut through fear. Moran's smile never came. She didn't argue, didn't defend, just clenched her jaw as the weight of her illusion collapsed. Thomas stood, motion in hand, notarized, backed by homeowner signatures. The board voted, unanimous. The city rep confirmed it. Effective immediately, Moran Halpern was suspended, stripped of authority, under investigation by the state. She walked out in silence. No clipboard high, no smug grin, just a woman who thought fear could last forever and discovered it couldn't survive one room full of voices. That's where it ended for me. Not at home with my wife's relief, not when the charges landed, not when the system finally started to do its job, but in that room, the second she realized she was done. Because here's the truth, I'll leave you with fear only rules when we let it.